everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of What's in Your Spiral, with a special guest appearance by Foster-Munoz.
Hi.
So I'm going to flip right open to my Unit 5, Southwest Asia and Northern Africa unit. On page 5, I should have my religion Venn diagram. Should be completely filled out, and it should have a grade on it. The back of this worksheet is a great study tool for learning how to compare the three major religions that began in the Middle East and to prepare for our upcoming test. On page 6, I have my religion notes. On page 7, I have my Arab Spring takeaway. Now, students will only have one of these 6 political cartoons, one of the 6 political cartoons, and underneath that political cartoon, they'll have a brief description of what the cartoon means, what's the point of view. They may also talk about some of the symbols they see in the cartoon. We're talking about Arab Spring. The dove and the matchsticks and the flowers are all pretty common recurring symbols in our political cartoons about the Arab Spring. They also received their Arab Spring worksheet back. It should be completed and filled out. All the answers should be answered. The back should have a map. The map should actually be filled in with symbols that show the relative stability or instability of each country in the region. This is another excellent study tool, especially looking at the overall takeaway about conflict and instability in the region. And that goes on page 8. Page 9 is where their cartoon and graffiti will go. They started this on Friday. It's due on Tuesday. It is a daily grade, and students should have all the instructions for that. They're just drawing a cartoon or a graffiti based on the Israeli-Palestine conflict. On page 10, we have our complex history, which is the notes that we took over the Israeli-Palestine conflict, going over the long history, starting way back in the BC area and going all the way to the founding of Israel in 1947 and the conflict that's continued to this day. Page 11 is blank still. We'll be getting to that this upcoming week, and it'll be due in a week from when we introduce it. Then we have our wall comparison, comparing the Israeli security fence and the Berlin Wall. Also on that page should be glued their quiz for the week. Now, this isn't all the classes. First period and 5th period do not do this, but all the other classes we go through, we take our little warm-ups, we walk through it, I walk through the answers. They'll actually receive that back on Monday after I check it. That's also a great study tool. We'll be getting to this week. Geography quiz, they just took this yesterday, so they'll be getting it back on Monday. Once they get it back, they'll glue it in. It'll be answered, checked, and graded. I'll mark the correct answers if they missed it so that they can also use this to study for the test. This is just a great way to see what are the test questions might be like. What are some things, how might they ask a question about the information we've learned? We also covered supply and demand this week. They should have this graphic organizer, and then they've answered questions 1 and 2 beneath it. Periods 2, 6, and 7 should look like this. Periods 1 and 5 should have a slightly different looking graph, but it should still have a graph relating to supply and prices. And then they'll have 3 scenarios that make prices go up and 3 scenarios that make prices go down. A really great way for you to review with your child is to look at these scenarios and ask them, just randomly giving them a scenario, and then say, how would that affect prices? Okay, the goal is to teach them that the very basic understanding we're working on right now is just that when supply goes up, prices tend to go down, and when supply goes down, prices tend to go up. And they're going to need to apply that into scenarios. So that's a great thing to study with them. Then we have our OPEC embargo worksheet on page 16. The front is our notes that we took. Okay, they need to be completely filled out. And then our big takeaway here is embargo. It should have the acrostic that was written by the student that shows their understanding of what an embargo is. If they finished it and it was checked, they'll have a sticker on it. If there's no sticker, it means it wasn't actually checked. So that's important that they get that checked on Monday if they did not get that finished. And that is the end of what is currently in our spiral. This is going to be it in terms of notes for the week. This is going to be it in terms of notes for the week. So when you're studying for your test on Wednesday, this is the resources that you have. Really make sure you go back all the way to the beginning of the unit. And I apologize for the background noise. The beginning of the unit, okay? Looking at the 4 water resources. Can you kind of identify what they are? Do you understand the benefits and the negatives? That's really what you need to get. You need the benefits and you need the negatives, okay? Geography of Southwest Asia. Can you tell me about what the geography is like? Our big takeaway right up at the top here. Okay, and then answering questions about what kind of geographic resources are common to the area. We'll need to know the benefits and the negatives of the Aswan Dam. Okay, and then obviously the religion. The students should have first period, 5th period, and 7th period. Sorry, first period, 6th period, and 7th period should have 2 of these weekly warm-ups. It's something we've started doing. It's once a week. They should have it glued into their spiral, okay? And this is a really great way to see potential test questions or modeled test questions, and then looking through how did they think through the question. We really talk to the students now about showing your work. Even though it's a social studies test, you can still show your work by showing how you thought through the question. Thank you.